Welcome to the All Balls No Filter podcast, live from the cabin kitchen. I'm Zach. He's Brad.
There.
Behind the scenes, we have a man who is in the top 1% for talking first and thinking later. It's researcher Cal.
That couldn't be more true about him, but it's not even like he'll just talk first. He'll impose himself over you. So even if he's not first, he's going to make sure he's the first person you hear.
That's it. That's how we doing, mate. Anyway, how we doing? You all right?
I'm good. You know what? Like, I've had a right good day today. Like, the sun's out. Got a little bit of sun-kissed red forehead. Maybe intentional, maybe not. I'm not sure if that'll show up on the video, but check us out on YouTube to see if it is. Researcher Cal saying yes. But no, I'm good. I've had a right good day. Been out for a nice hike in the peaks with the dog. So yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Nice. I am. Is overstimulated the right word? So just for context, guys, what are we now? We are a minute into the pod. I'm going to come clean. We're trialing a new way to kind of present and produce the pod, and it's one of the reasons why we weren't around last week. We're trying to iron things out, and I'm not going to lie to you, this is the first recording, and I'm already. So if you do hear any technical glitches or anything like that, yeah, bear with us. We're hoping this is a better way to kind of go. But other than that, I am absolutely tip-top. It's been nice, long Easter weekend. Definitely drank far too much ale. Needed to, and we'll get into why very, very soon. But yeah, other than that, absolutely spot on weekend. Absolutely spot on. So, what we got in store for today's show, mate?
Yeah, so obviously, as you said, we've been MIA, I guess, for the last week. We normally like to do every week, don't we? But the last sort of month, we've just sort of hit every fortnight. So we'll catch up on the NFL news. There's not been too much happening, but there has been a few big stories come through this last couple of weeks, haven't there? And we will, as is normal now, we'll visit the world of rugby league in our I Can't Speyk section, which I'd probably rather avoid, and we will check in with all of the balls across the world of sport. But yeah, I mean, shall we get straight into the news?
Yeah, so we've got some, I say some relatively big headlines. This time of year is relatively quiet because they're waiting for the pre-draft stuff, which hopefully next week we're going to focus a bit more on the draft itself. But they have their owners' meetings and there's a few contract signings here and there. But realistically, the rule change in the owners' meetings are what's happening now. So there's been a few kind of rule tweaks and changes that we're going to have a look on, get a discussion on, see what our views on it are, and yeah, go from that really. And starting from the top on this is there's been a bit of an onside kick rule changing within the NFL going into this year. And previously, they changed the kickoff in general, which I'm actually a big fan of now. I really like the new kickoff rule. But they changed the onside kick so you could only do it in the fourth quarter and when you were trailing. And I just think for me, it kind of ruins the element of surprise. Well, it ruined the element of surprise a little bit because sometimes a good onside kick is fantastic. Like Pat McAfee's onside kick that he did years ago is generational. It's absolutely fantastic. But going into this year now, they have tweaked that ruling where teams can now declare. So you still need to declare the onside kick, but they can now declare the onside kick at any point in the game. So Brad, asking you here now, as you know, as just a general football fan, taking your coaching experience out of the equation here, what's your view on the onside kick in general?
I'm mixed with it because I mean, let's be honest, how often does it actually work? How often does it come off? Like it doesn't really, does it? It's not something that's like a big or a regular game-changing play. But I think the beauty of the onside kick is when it does happen and when teams catch people by surprise with it, which I think this is better. The new rule's better that you can now do it at any point in the game. It doesn't just have to be the fourth when you're trailing. Fine, great, really good move forwards. But you've still got to declare it, and I think that's the naff bit about it, really. It's like, oh, hey, everybody, guess what we're going to do on the next play? Like, it's not really what American football's about. It's about outsmarting your opponents and being clever with your strategy and your approach. And I think that element of surprise is a big part of that, which obviously they got rid of. But I do think this is a step in the right direction. I just wonder if they'll actually go back to not having to declare it at all, basically, and just being able to surprise them when you want to, really.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there in terms of the element of surprise. And to be fair to you, I agree. I think they should be able to just do it at any point, basically, and not have to declare it, because that view of that kind of element of surprise works great, if that makes sense. But it all comes down to preference, and obviously teams are voting it in externally. So, look, it's one of them. We'll have to kind of see how it goes from there. And I think it works enough for it to still be entertaining. Because if it worked all the time, then if it worked all the time, it'd be less fun when it does pay off. I think coming in for like it'd be beneficial when it does, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, for sure. The next rule we had changing, I don't know if you'd seen much about this, was the kickoff penalty. So when the ball's kicked out of bounds, that penalty has now moved to be more significant. So it used to be the 40, and now it's the 50. So there's obviously a change there in 10 yards, which I think makes people have to think a bit more wisely about it now and actually be a bit more aware of what they're actually doing. Sometimes you could be quite tactical with it, couldn't you? I don't think you see it too often, but you could be quite tactical with this, really. But now it's obviously a more significant penalty. So that's obviously changed by the 10 yards. And then you've got some minor tweaks to the formation at kickoff just to improve safety. Probably quite technical to get into the ins and outs of this one for a lot of the sort of just day-to-day fans, but it's all about basically safety and trying to improve sort of the returns of kickoffs, really. 2 more rules we've got as well, which I'm quite pleased about these. I don't know what your thoughts are on these, Zach. We've got an expanded officiating intervention. So it's a 1-year rule, basically, where the league is able to replay of what they're saying is clear and obvious errors. So that is it New York, I think the base is, isn't it? They can step in and they can basically overrule any errors and that are clear and obvious that the referees have done. Now I think this is a big one because it's probably, there's 2 parts to this for me, is it's probably moving into the direction that the sport is probably going to go in eventually anyway.
Yeah.
But it's also an opportunity for the NFL to not allow the huge controversy that they'll have when referees make those basically just wrong decisions. Now, they're human, so we get it. But I think it's a good opportunity to improve officiating generally.
See, I agree with everything you're saying there, right? That it definitely will improve the officiating and go, but at the same time, that human error. Look, when the human error is against your team, it's shit, and I'm not going to say it's not, but that human error is kind of part of the game. That's like if it keeps going this way, there is going to be 10 years' time. There'll be no officiating crew. It'll all be done by computers, lasers, everything will be along the lines of that. I mean, they're already getting rid of the down markers, and the down markers are now digital. Like, everything's along the lines of that. And I just feel like I get it, these clear and obvious things, they can go review it. So at what point do they go, well, if we're reviewing clear and obvious things, AI is advancing at the moment it is now, can we just not just do this anyway? They could invest don't get me wrong, I think, what is it, are the NFL referees still part-time? They can, but either way, they're still getting some sort of fee for it. They can invest that money a year into the kind of AI system a bit more and just do every single game digitally from one central hub. I don't know, I get it, and I when something happens to the Patriots that is a clear and obvious foul and it doesn't get called, I'll be all singing all of its praises. But at the same time, that human error in games, whether it's amateur, professional, semi-professional, it happens, and I see how it goes. I like the refereeing crew being out there.
Yeah, and obviously there's another one in terms of the officiating as well. So they can now as well. There's not really too much to discuss on this, I don't think, but officials can now consult off-field to decide on ejections, and that includes non-play incidents. So just a bit of opportunity there for them to consult with others around those sort of ejections, which can be game-changing, can't they, really? I think the main one for me about the rule changes was one that actually... it wasn't that it was not approved, it was one that actually got withdrawn. So there was a proposal to allow trade in draft picks, I think it was 5 years into the future. So currently the rule is 3. But of course it's the Browns. The Browns were proposing that you can use 5 years in advance of trades. Now, I wonder if there was a bit of a motive behind this. Had they got a big trade lined up, or were they trying to get a trade over the line because they did withdraw it, or is it just actually they realised that other teams are probably not going to back it? What's your thoughts on that? Like 5 years?
I'm surprised it's not gone ahead, because there's teams like I'm going to use the Jets and the Browns as an example. There's teams like them that are in an obvious rebuild that could potentially. Look, I'm going to throw a random ass trade out there right now. Like, let's say this gets accepted and prime Lamar Jackson, prime Pat Mahomes is there, and the Browns come in and go, look, I'm going to give you, X, Y, Z, and I'm going to give it for the next 5 years, for instance. That then creates these blockbuster trades, these shit or bust, make or break trades where you could be throwing everything, you do the entire kitchen sink into kind of one player or a package or something. But the flip side to it is, look at the trade where with Dallas, getting all the draft picks in, and they've recruited really well out of it. You could create a super team by giving a team X amount of draft picks for the next 5 years, because they can become so valuable. I can see positives from both sides of it. I just think it makes a bit of fun entertainment, if you ask me. Like, I just think it's a little bit different.
I feel like the teams that probably weren't supporting it were actually probably trying to protect like teams like the Browns and Jets, because look at the shambles of the whole Deshaun Watson thing. Like, that alone was ridiculous. So imagine if the Jets or the Browns could mortgage 5 years worth of their future draft picks. I feel like they would potentially be ruining their franchises even worse than they do at the minute. Like, I think there's an element of protection there for them, but it does happen in other sports. Like, I'm not big into sort of like the NBA and MLB and stuff, but I'm pretty certain. I know you can do it in the NBA, like more years in advance. I don't know the exact figure, but I think it's quite significant when you compare it to the NFL. Actually, it could even be like if more than double. But I just feel like when you've got teams like the Jets and the Browns, it's dangerous to have that much to play with.
It is, but it could be a bit of fun at the same time. But like, there's a lot of $1 million on the line here, and there's livelihoods and things like that. I get it, but at the same time, it just makes that bit of controversy. Going on to. Off that, as much as I like that rule, and coming off of the rulings now and going on to more player-oriented things, Kyle Pitts announced that he's actually agreed to the franchise tag, and don't quote me on numbers here, but I believe it's around $15 million a year for the next year. Sorry, there is still a chance though that they can kind of they can throw another contract at him to the bigger money. Got a feeling they want to see a little bit more out of him because he hasn't been the stud that they thought he were going to be when coming out of college. I don't think he's lived up to his reputation or anything like that. So I reckon see how he goes for the first few months of the season. Then they probably excite him to an extension from there. But the reports are that he is reporting to the workouts, which is an obvious sign that he's going to be playing and good to go for the start of the season and not holding out for a contract. But yeah, so they can still kind of go through and get this. I think it's a smart decision for him. He hasn't been that player personally.
No, and there's talks about him being traded, or if he ended up at free agency, a few teams interested in him, and he's always had that potential around him. Like when he came into the league, he was like a massive name, wasn't he? Like this unreal athlete playing at tight end. But you're right, he's just not lived up to his expectations. But you wonder how much of that is more about the team he's at as opposed to him as a player. But yeah, I think it's smart money for both sides. We'll see. Obviously, he could tie up a long-term extension. There's been another big name in the news, though, hasn't there? So Dexter Lawrence, Giants, has been pushing and pushing for a new deal for around, 2 years? But he's finally now, not tail between his legs, is it? But he's requested a trade, hasn't he? He wants out.
Yeah, and I'm shocked more than anything else about this. And look, I get people play for money and they're there, it's just the job and all that jazz, and I fully understand that. But hypothetically, the Giants are in the best place they've been in the past, I want to say at least 5 years. At least 5 years. You're maybe even 10 years. Like you're talking now, the Giants are in an area, my opinion anyway, where within the next 2 years they could be pushing Super Bowl because of the team and the signings. Not necessarily the signings, but the team that they're building around at this moment in time and the coach that they've just signed. It's one of them shit or bust things for me, and I just think he's earning a good crack anyway. I don't know if this is a bit of a rush to. I don't know, me personally. Like, they've got a real young QB. They've got an exciting running back. Yeah, don't get me wrong, he hurt himself last year, but he was exciting at the time. They've got exciting wide receivers. They've just signed a really exciting coach who's had experience with QBs like Jackson Dart in the past. It's not as if he's a QB that's never. It's not as if it's a coach that's never ran with a mobile QB before and not had success. I just think there's a lot of things there pointing in the right directions for the Giants, and that really kills me to say as a Patriots fan, I'm not going to lie. But, like, I just feel for them. I just feel for me, it's one of them, like, he's probably going to regret this.
Do you think part of it's, though, seeing, like, players leave the Giants and then go and have a bit of success, and, like, he's had losing season after losing season, yet he's probably the best player on the team, or definitely one of. And he's like getting paid, like, I don't know, 10, 12, like among defensive tackles alone. Like, I don't know. It's probably annoy you, wouldn't it? Like, if you were in a job and someone was worse at their job than you, but they were getting paid more than you, that would infuriate you, wouldn't it?
I fully get that. Maybe more so if it was on their team and not necessarily elsewhere. That's like, you know. I'm a truck driver. We know this. So that's like me comparing another company, paying a truck driver more. Like, I get it, but like if it's within the Giants, then maybe so I could understand that more. And yes, you're always going to be fighting for that bigger wage, but at the same time, the Giants again haven't been in this situation. Think about the last time the Giants. You thought about the Giants being, hey, you know what? These are exciting. They've got a good young core of an offense in particular. Like, not just one player in particular. There are a bunch of players in the offense that got injured last year in particular, but are excited. And they finished with a decent draft pick this year as well, so they could draft well this year if they wanted to, or trade, potentially going to a free agency, and signing the hottest coach on the market for this preseason. Everything for me just kind of stands there with the Giants. Is like, actually, could be a decent team going forward. And then this guy's walking in going, you pay me or I'll leave. If I'm the Giants, I'm like, Sling Yer Hook Pal. Like, yeah, you're good. But, like, we're probably going to be attractive enough to sign some decent players in the off-season, like free agents. I understand, like he's passing now, but I don't know, me. I just think I could be wrong. He's getting too big for his boots here.
He's definitely one of those players, though, that's just he's holding out, isn't he? He's not going to be at training camp. Yeah. He's not doing any of that.
So do you think realistically that the Giants miss him? In if he holds out for the season, do the Giants miss him, or does he turn around when the Giants get to the playoffs and he's like, oh shit, I'll come back now? Hiya, guys, I'm here. Nah, Sling Yer Hook Pal.
I don't know. I can't see Giants getting to the playoffs, to be honest. I think they've got some good pieces. I think they're going to be exciting, but I think it's still going to be a little bit of a project for them. But he's too good to let go.
Yes. Look, I'm not saying he's not good at his job. I'm not saying he's arguably top 5, top 10. Like he's up there. He's very, very good. But flip side to this is like, I feel like they're on a 2-year plan, potentially a 5-year plan with a 2-year goal is what I'd be looking at the Giants for with this. If it don't work within 2 years, they've got the teams young enough where they can start trading around and looking to replace and things. They're not banking all the money on like the Aaron Rodgers situation. They've got good pieces elsewhere, and this team's going to grow up together. And if they're all mature together, then there could be a real good team if to stop getting concussion more than anything else. Like, but that'd be my view. I just think it's a bit of a like. If this is Myles Garrett and the Browns, then you're throwing everything at him because you've got nothing, realistically. Like, I think the Giants have got some good pieces around them. That's why, look at the Raiders situation, right? And there was allowing him to go for the trade because realistically, they have other things they can build around now, especially going in with the first round pick and pick 101. Yeah, he's going to stay in Happy Days champion. Max Crosby's going to stay a lot, you know what I mean? But I don't know. It could have held out and the Raiders have still been like, yeah, sound.
Yeah, I guess time will tell. And, we get these every year, don't we? Someone else is holding out. Someone else is requesting something. We get them every year. So let's see what happens to Sexy Dexy. And then Stephon Gilmore, then, just to round up sort of the headline news, I guess, before we move on to a couple of big contracts. So Gilmore's officially retired. He's actually had a year out of the season already, I believe. But, after a long career, played for 6 teams, he's a Super Bowl champion, he's 2-time All-Pro, 5 times Pro Bowl. He's done. His cleats have officially been hung up.
This for me falls into who was it we spoke about the other week? Hilton, T.Y. Hilton, and retiring. I'm not gonna lie, Gilmore's been great. Gilmore was great for the Patriots. He's a phenomenal player. I thought he'd already retired. That's poor knowledge from my side of things, but I think it's just kind of keeping his development there. He was fantastic, and I've kept me out to him. What a career he had. He was never a dirty player, never a bad player. He just put his heart and soul into every jersey that he wore, so credit to him, and good luck in retirement and spending all of his hard-earned money, basically.
Indeed, and so I guess speaking of that hard-earned money, probably moves us nicely on to the biggest, I guess, news story of this past, 5-6 days, Mr. Cousins.
Who's his agent and how do I get him to negotiate me a new contract to drive a truck? That's what I want to know, because this guy has just earned money. Guaranteed money as well. Like, what? So going into this year, right? It's a 5-year contract, right? Which is never going to see 5 years out of it. It's guaranteed 11.3 million. Now, research Carl, if you could just find some information out for me at the back, and I know it's a ridiculous amount. The amount of money he's been paid, or the amount of contract money he's had over his career to the amount of guaranteed money he's had over his career is a ludicrous number for Kirk Cousins. Now, I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is the worst QB in the world, right? Because there's been worse QBs out there. But what he's done to get this money is scandalous. Like, he has, oh, wow. He's just earned brass.
It's just mad, isn't it? I think I saw something the other day that he's now officially out-earned Tom Brady, which obviously Brady will have a lot of like sponsorship deals and stuff like that.
Endorsements,
that Cousins won't have. But to out-earn the greatest quarterback ever, and your name's Kirk Cousins, and you haven't really got that much to show for yourself, have you? I mean, he's had a solid career, like a better career than I've had in the NFL, but it's just it's nuts to think the money is getting there. Oh, researcher Carl's put it into the chat there. A total of $321.7 million. That is insane.
Is that what he's earned, or is that what a guarantee? Because I don't want to. I know he's. I said no. I think I saw that his contract his contract could have been to what he's actually earned. He's so close to each other because his agent's always going in and gone, yeah, we want guaranteed money. Like, if you're not going to, I want guaranteed money. And they've always paid it. Like,
I think that was like a thing, wasn't it? Until recently. And like, it might just be this last year or two that he'd always had guaranteed contracts the whole time. Because he'd always just signed like short-term deals. Which like this, if you look at this contract, this is a bizarre contract, isn't it? It's 5 years, 172 mil. But when you actually sort of dig down into it, it's 20 mil guaranteed because you've got Falcons still paying part of the salary you would have earned this year. But it's basically a 1 year contract at 20 mil is what it is. But there is the bit for the Raiders, which I think's the good business on both sides. I think it's a great contract for both sides. Is you've got Raiders who are going to sign Mendoza. You've got Kirk Cousins who is going to be a great mentor. Like, if you've seen him in the quarterback show on Netflix, like, he's great there, and he was put in a tough situation at the Falcons. But I think he's coming in knowing exactly what situation he's going to be in. But the Raiders have got a 2-year option, I believe. So let's say Mendoza isn't ready, or Mendoza's not what they want him to be, because it happens quite regularly, doesn't it? College quarterbacks go into the NFL. They've still got a solid quarterback in Cousins.
Well, this is what I was going to get into, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due here. Green Bay are phenomenal at doing this. They're fantastic. They did it with Rodgers. They've done it with Love. They draft a QB, and they don't go, right, I don't care how generational, how good you were. You go on the bench, and you're going to learn off our QB now, and then we're going to put you in when you're ready. And like Aaron Rodgers learned off Brett Favre, right? And you're learning from the best of the best there. Jordan Love's done the same with Rodgers. Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Jordan Love is Rodgers, but he's definitely coming out of his shell more now. And look, Kirk Cousins here, for me, 20 million, you're either going to start or you're going to be at bench for a year. Either way, get yourself a good year out of this, see how you get on from there. The Raiders need to really be smart about this, in my opinion. Now, look, these guys are getting paid a lot of money in that back room, right? And the management know what they're doing, obviously. But for me, they need to just sit Mendoza for a year, a season, right? Be straight with Kirk. Say, look, ball out this season, right? We can trade you, get you a starting job somewhere else, play for a starting job somewhere else. Basically, I want you to mentor Mendoza, and we pass the torch at the end of the year and get Mendoza some reps coming in, whether it be preseason, whether it be if the Falcons are doing, they need a backup towards the end. I remember there's an injury reserve, but have him sat there, because for the life, look at like Baker Mayfield coming in for the Browns. Yes, it weren't the right fit, but if they'd have sat him for a year, for instance, behind an experienced QB, they might have got a bit more. Johnny Manziel might have been the same. They might have got a bit more out of him rather than just chucking him at deep end going, you've played college ball, but you've never called a play in the huddle before. Get yourself on that field in front of all these thousands of people. Here's a ridiculously long play call, and I want you to execute it right for me. I just think, it's just... they're such a good position here to do something if they're smart, but the fans will just go, that's our 101 pick. Get him on that field. He needs to win the Super Bowl now.
It just doesn't happen, though, does it? Like, that's just not the way.
No.
You don't win a Super Bowl that way. Like, how? I mean, when can you ever remember that happening? Like, it just doesn't. And people push it too soon, and they're impatient.
I'd be interested to know the last time a rookie QB got too deep in the playoffs. Or what's the deepest a rookie QB has got in the playoffs before? Like, because when you just said that there, what's the last rookie QB as a rookie QB ever got to the Super Bowl? I'm just trying to think. Like, research Carl coming in clutch here. Championship game. Who was it? Because I'm just trying to think now off the top of my head. Like, who was the rookie QB that got there to the championship? I should probably know this, but in terms of a rookie, they've never been to a Super Bowl. Because, like you say, it's such a. And if you look at Mendoza's tape from his pro day, Like, didn't look anything spectacular, let's just say.
Well,
Better than me,
that's the talk, isn't it? That like
Jaden Daniels, thank you very much.
And Brock Purdy, that's mad. So the talk about Mendoza is actually, you know, if this is a different quarterback draft, he's not going to necessarily be the top quarterback in the draft. Maybe he might still be up there, but I think it's the fact that there are no quarterbacks available really after him that are any good. You've got a couple of names that, as they always do leading up to the draft, start to sort of rise a little bit. But it's that panic of, if we want a quarterback, we've got to get him with that first pick. Whereas if it's a different year and you've got 5-6 quarterbacks all going in the first round, you've got options then. You could trade back and build a bit of draft capital. You've got more flexibility, but it's just not going to happen this year. But I don't know. I mean, the Raiders are not making the Super Bowl this year. Whether they play Mendoza or Kirk Cousins has the best career any quarterback's ever had, they're just, as a team, they're not ready. But I just think it's a smart move.
What about shock situation comes in on the draft day here, and the Browns sign Cousins for this deal and decide to trade 101 away for a better draft class? Maybe not move into the first round. Maybe not move further into the first round of this draft. Raiders, sorry. Not move into this draft and think, we'll get rid of 101, move into the 2027 draft class into the first round, lumping it on, and maybe getting it, because there could be a more QB needy team out there, because realistically now the Raiders don't necessarily need a QB, because they have Cousins to a 5-year deal. If they want him, they could have him for at least a year, sit him out there, go out there, and then potentially look at a better QB draft, QB class in the next year or the year after, and say, we might get more value for his money because we might get a first and potentially a third, depending on what team it is.
I think there's just that risk factor, because you don't know where that team that you're trading with is going to end up the year after. You don't know how that's going to pan out. But I think the beauty of this signing with Kirk Cousins as well is that when we're speaking about like fans putting pressure on to get like Mendoza on the field and things, I think that kind of plays into the Raiders' hands a little bit as well, because what you've seen with Kirk Cousins over the last 3-4 years, or longer really, is he has that period of games where he's balling.
Yeah.
And then he'll have 3 or 4 games on the bounce where he's throwing pick after pick and he's just bang average. And that's a perfect opportunity then for Raiders to go, yep, okay, now's the time. Yep. Let's get him on. Yeah. So I think it's clever in more ways than is maybe just seen on the surface.
No, I get you there, mate. And do you know what? He's probably right. You know, I like throwing wild scenarios out there with them trading at a first round pick. You never know what happens. Because if it comes in, this guy called it here, Speaking of other contracts, though, Trayvon Walker with the Jacksonville Jaguars has signed a 4-year extension, $110 million to be exact, where $77 million of that is guaranteed, and about $50 million paid at signing. I wouldn't mind getting paid $50 million when I sign a contract, I must admit. Good signing, solid signing. It keeps him there up until 2030 if they see the contract out. I think that's a pretty decent signing, me. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think it's solid. Like, I think it's an interesting contract because it's not one that basically says you're the best player in your position, because he's not. But I think it's a contract that says, you know what, we respect what you've shown us and we value you as a player. So here's a good chunk of money that you're going to be happy with, and keep doing it, and then we're probably going to pay you the big bucks. But I think it's a really fair deal that is probably pitched about right for how he's played. I think he's a solid player. I'd take him. I think it's a good bit of business. Yeah, I can't really grumble too much. Don't have too much to say about it, if I'm honest with you. But I just think it's a solid bit of business.
No, that's right. It's again, solid. They're the 2 major signings and contracts from the week that we've had there. And to be fair, if your team's sign something that we've missed off, let us know, guys. Head over into the comment section of either YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to this, or Apple Podcasts, or even over onto our socials at ABNF Pod across all your socials, and let us know what you're thinking about your signings for your teams as well. Again, mentioned at the start of the pod, we're trying something a little bit new with the whole production side. Come and see our beautiful faces. YouTube and Spotify have a video version of each episode each week, and we might do a milestone face review. Reveal. Face reveal of researcher Cal, right? But we'll have to work out there and see if he might work something out there. Right, moving on, mate. The Falcons have updated their uniforms. First thoughts, what do you think?
Well, let's take a look at them, shall we? I think they're fine. I think they're fine. It's interesting that the last pod we did 2 weeks ago was our power rankings for the jerseys. Yeah. Would the Falcons have ended up a bit higher than they did? Probably. I like them. I think they're clean. I think they're a classic look. You know, that it's red, it's white, it's black, it's fine. But I do think it's an improvement for sure. And I like the font. I'm not sure if the font's the same or not, I'll be honest with you. But I do like it. I think it's a clean look. And yeah, it's good. It's a good move.
I really don't like the old numbers on the old jersey. I didn't like that kind of style they tried to push towards. It weren't my cup of tea. This looks cleaner, but Research Carl just popped a little comment into our little chat here saying boring home jersey, just the Cardinals, away jersey, the Bucks away jersey. Really, really agree with you there. My biggest issue is the NFL teams nowadays are not. I say no, that's disrespectful. This in particular here is just so late 90s or early 90s, late 90s kind of vibe of that. Just we're going to get a colour, go, it's a number and a logo on it. £110 please, or $110 for this jersey please. That's just a plain red jersey. When you've got college teams out there making these sick jerseys like Oregon's, or I've always got dope jerseys to go out with.
Oregon are stunning.
Yeah. That you don't mind spending. Like I'm not an Oregon fan, but I would spend $100 on an Oregon jersey because it's so good. This, you look at it and it's just like, come on, guys, do something. Get a design team in there, because you could really cap that market. You could hit that market hard with a gorgeous design. Look at like the Chargers bringing some nice designs out there. I just feel like NFL teams go so one-dimensional sometimes, and this is a poor example of not rebrand, but like, we bring a new jersey out. It's red. Get out of here. Get out of here.
It's just a bit meh. It's fine. Like, I think that is the best way, or the best words I can find to describe it is just, it's fine. So, I mean, it's not offensive. That's probably part of it, really, isn't it? Like, they want to appeal to as many people as they can, so it's not offensive. It's nothing crazy. But it's definitely an improvement.
Yeah, it's not the one, is it? It's not the one. Anyway, let's get off that. It's just plain old. But that's the NFL kind of roundup that's going on at the moment within the world of football. We're going to move on to a very similar shaped ball now. And we're going to move on to another passion of myself and Brad's, which is our new feature. It's I Can't Speyk. Get him off, ref. Where we're talking all things rugby league from this week. Now, it's going to be a bit of a sore subject, this. I'm not going to lie, because me and Brad thought it was actually a spontaneous Saturday night decision. Fancy game tomorrow, bank holiday Sunday. Couple of pints, watch the game, get a bit of a live old action, and good old review. What a waste of money that one, eh, mate? What a waste of money that was.
It was absolutely... Well, not complete waste. I mean, we had a great day, to be fair. A heavy day. But the game was tragic. Like, I'll be honest, I was thinking that the first half... So just for anyone who's new to this, like, we're talking Castleford Wakefield here, just for clarity on that one. But I thought the first half, I wouldn't say Castleford were like terribly worse than Wakefield. Like Wakey were probably the better side. And I'm never one to sort of blame refereeing decisions and things. Like I really, I try not to do that as much as possible, but I do think the refereeing of this game was woeful. I don't think it's going to it wouldn't have changed anything. Like, but I thought the first half was Cass were a little bit worse than Wakey, but the refereeing massively helped Trinity. But then the second half was just absolutely diabolical. It was terrible.
Yeah. So this game hurt me in many ways, right? Not just my pride from stood there watching the game, but financially, because it made me drink more, for one. But then financially, when I got home that night, I went to hang my coat up and ripped the coat hanger off the wall, so I had to buy a new one and put that up the day after whilst being a little bit hungover.
Happened.
Yeah, so I was not in the good books. I woke up the next morning to all the coats on the floor downstairs and a very angry wife. Anyway, so yeah, not just that, but it made me, right, rugby league fans are passionate, but they don't half talk some balls at times. That and where it was just one of them games where no matter what happened on field, somebody was in the wrong, and the fans made themselves aware of it. And if you look at it from a bigger point of view, and Cass were diabolical, and Brad, I fully agree with you. The first half, the refereeing was atrocious, but that second half, if Wakey had decided to go home halfway through the second half, Cass would have still found a way to knock on, and get the ball out of touch, kicking. How we can have a field that we have that we play on as home field week in, week out, right, and still cannot find space when we kick that ball. It is diabolical. There's people on that field that need to just realise that they need to get a job stacking shelves somewhere and not on a rugby field. And you know what? That's disrespectful to people stacking shelves, actually, because they're better than what I saw on that field at weekend. It was awful.
He's angry,
I'll do it
folks.
again.
He's angry.
I'll go waste my money again. I know I will. It's just they're going to lose support. They're going to lose the support soon. They were a sellout crowd. They're going to lose the support soon.
I mean, is it another month's time that researcher Cal's asking us to go see Wakey Cass at Trinity?
No, Wakey Leeds, wasn't it?
Wakey Leeds, that's right. Sorry, yeah.
That's it. Like,
I mean,
it's, yeah.
Geez.
Don't tell my mum because she'll disown me if we go to that game.
Look, I mean, it was Rivals Week, wasn't it? So obviously we've touched on one rivalry there. I think there was one, there's two games actually that I were really quite interested in seeing how they pan out. And the first one was Bradford Leeds. I mean, how many years has it been? We've been waiting for this game to. Yeah. It was the old rivalry. It was the pinnacle of Super League, these games, wasn't it? Bradford and Leeds, always top two, for a period of years, definitely like top 3 or 4. And it was always a slog. And it was quite exciting to see. I saw some marketing and publicity around the game. We've been waiting how many years for this? Blah, it must be nearly 20 years or something, maybe a bit less than that. Yeah. But it's, there was that one. And then a new rivalry, really, Catalans and Toulouse. I was really intrigued how that one would pan out. Like, Toulouse have not been terrible at all. They started really strong, dropped off a little bit, but they started really strong. And I thought they had a chance to beat Catalans, to be fair. And the score was close, to be fair, like 33-26. It's a drop goal game, isn't it? That's got the victory. Well, not the victory, is a try and a drop goal, but they were depending on that drop goal because it was a close game. So I think all in all, Rivalries Week was quite a success, really. I think.
Yeah, and do you know what? Touching back on the market in there, that Leeds Bradford game, I really enjoyed. I'm going to credit Sky Sports here. To be fair, they went around the fans pre-game and they were like putting like a phone camera in their face. It's like, right, who in the prime, who you having? Leon Price, Ryan Hall, and it'll bring back all these in the prime moments, and it's like, it just bringing back I think Keith Senior got mentioned at one point, and I'm like, wow, what a geezer he was like. It's bringing back my childhood, and really well kind of produced and marketed there across. Now, I want to touch on that Toulouse Catalan game in a second, but going back to the first few times we did the I Can't Speyk the feature, sorry, we were speaking really highly of the newly promoted teams and how the newly promoted teams are playing and performing against existing teams. York in particular, Toulouse were doing all right as well, to be like you said, but York in particular. Now, are we seeing that fall off, that decline happen? Because, yes, they're playing the same amount of games what they would be in the Championship, if not a couple less, depending on how the playoffs go. But they're playing a tougher opponent week in, week out now. They're not playing the teams that they can kind of walk over and get some rest if they needed to. Are we seeing this decline now? Like Toulouse have lost now. The Toulouse aren't looking what they look like in the first couple of weeks. York losing to Huddersfield. Now, I want to touch on that in a bit more detail in a second, but York losing there, Bradford losing to Leeds. Like, tough games, don't get me wrong, but are we seeing that the realisation that they're in the Super League now and not in the Championship? Is that coming into play, do you reckon?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've just loaded up the Super League table now, just to have a gander. I'd not looked since the weekend, to be fair. And you've got the Wolves at the top on 10 points. They've played 6 games, so they've actually got a game in hand there. And you've got then from 10th downwards, so Toulouse, Giants, York, Lee Leopards and Tigers all on 4 points. So, it's early in the season, isn't it? But you've had a few upset results to begin with. So you've got Rhinos, they've played 7 games, so they could be on 14 points. They're on 10, so they're in second at the minute. Same with Warriors, Wakey, Saints. So they're all, the top 5 are on 10 points. The bottom 5 are on 4 points. So it's still all to play for, but I think you're right in what you're saying, that those new teams started really strong and they've dropped off, haven't they? And you'd think it'd maybe go the other way, like teams tend to find their form, and actually maybe it's actually that the teams they beat are finding the form. I mean, the Huddersfield loss for York is probably, that's going to hurt that one, because I'm saying Huddersfield are the team that should be propping up the league. Like, Tigers are currently propping up the league, but they are that team, really, Huddersfield. So it's been, I don't know, it's probably a disappointing one, that I can't see them making playoffs.
No, but the Huddersfield thing is something that obviously I was touching with you there. Like, since firing the coach, okay, so it's the same amount of players. They fired a coach, got a new coach in, right? And they've played like a completely different team. They beat Wigan last week, and they absolutely, I think I remember texting you actually, like, have you seen this score? Like, Huddersfield were up, and they were playing well. And if I'd have had a bet, if someone said to me, give me a surefire bet for this weekend that I can put my house on, it'd have been, we're going to put it 100 past Huddersfield. And no, it came round. And now they're not just beating York, they're putting 20 points past York positively, right? And dominating that game. Is this a new turn? But this goes back to what we spoke about with, like, the Giants situation in the NFL. Is this new coach? You see it all the time with new coaches and new managers coming in football, rugby, American football. They'll do well for half a season, or do well for the rest of the season, get a contract, and then bosh. But the touch on the teams like we spoke with York, Toulouse, and Bradford. You say that teams normally find the form going into the season, but you think these are kind of getting found out more now. Toulouse, if you kind of contain their fullback, they've got nothing. They've not got much more, and teams have been doing that, so then they're not being able to be as expressive anymore. So could that be something that they're looking at more than anything else?
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is, and that happens, like you say, in every sport, doesn't it? Like, you start to find those teams out. I know it more than most from an NFL point of view, where Miami Dolphins come out firing in the first half of the season when, we had the Mike McDaniel, start of his tenure. Like, Dolphins were electric, and then they started figuring out how to rock the boat, and we're seeing that. Yep. So, Yeah, I can't see them. I can't see them being playoff bound. The new teams, to be honest. I mean, Bradford are currently 8th, so they're at the top of the new 3 teams into the league. But
I think
we'll see how it
he's
goes.
staying out of that. Yeah, he's staying out of that bottom 2 for him, really, proving that they're not a bottom 2 team. And if they can stay out of that, I think it's a success. But yeah, that's the rugby league. Bit of a rundown from this week now. Going to be moving on to one of our favourite features now, our reoccurring feature of all other balls. Brad, if you would like to explain to the lovely listener at home, what is all other balls?
Absolutely. So, all of the balls is where we touch on other areas in the world of sport. Obviously, our rugby league feature started in all of the balls before making its way into a sort of ongoing feature throughout the NFL off-season. But we'll touch on other sports from around the world. Sometimes it's a nice, funny story. Sometimes it's a success story, or sometimes it's just genuinely what's going on in different areas. And that's kind of what we've got on today for you. So we don't often, to say we're a British podcast, we don't often discuss football, as in soccer, football.
Soccer.
Soccer ball. But we did this week, after the tragic Tigers loss, we went to drown our sorrows in a local ale house.
Yeah, we did actually.
And we, I mean, the game was on in the background, wasn't it? We didn't actually see the end of this, so it's just been a highlights thing for me. But Leeds United, probably the most sort of supported local team for where Zach and I are based, and Research Cal, I know you're a big fan yourself. Leeds actually have made the semi-finals of the FA Cup for the first time in 39 years, which is absolutely nuts to think. And I hope, Research Cal, for your sake, that stat is correct. He's nodding in confidence. Same. No one can see him, but he's like, yes. So Leeds beat West Ham on penalties. I think it was 2-2, was it, the main game? Obviously, extra time and penalties got Leeds the victory. So they're in the semi-finals for the very first time. And then I think the other upset, really, from the weekend, from the FA Cup sort of side of things, is Arsenal, who are currently dominating the Premier League in terms of, I think they're like, is it 9 points clear, I think, of City. They were knocked out by Southampton, which was a real upset. So Southampton progress, and Arsenal, who it's their league to lose when you're talking about the Premier League, are out of the FA Cup. So it will be an interesting round. When are the next fixtures, Researcher Cal?
I love an underdog story, though. I love the underdog story. It's great. April 25th, 26th. Sweet. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Touching on Leeds right quickly. I know we don't want to talk too much about it, but touching on Leeds right quickly. Like, growing up in our area, football's massive to people, and especially in school and stuff. Seeing the stat there, and again, Research Carl, if it's wrong, by the way, guys, please roast him. And don't roast me and Brad. We just read what he puts on we could put anything he wants on the script, and we read his stats. That's why we get him wrong sometimes. But for me, I remember that Leeds Man United derby, like pushing up and in the Premier League, and they were great. To see that as like the first time, I weren't alive the last time that they got to the semi-final, which it blows my mind because Leeds were a good team. Like, they were a great team. But
they were. I mean, it is weird. Like that's why when we always have a chat, don't we, before the show, and he mentioned about the 39 years thing. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like they're knocked down into the Championship and then further. Like, and then as I was just sort of reading through that statement again, the 39 years thing, I was just like, hang on, that just seems a bit bizarre, but. I mean, he's just putting here. So 1987, we lost to Coventry, who won the cup that year, and were a second division club at the time. Nuts, absolutely nuts.
That's wild. Well, Good luck to him, and we'll definitely keep you posted on that. Now, moving on to less than fun news and a bit more serious news now. Mr. Tiger Woods has been arrested once again for DUI in America. So for the Brits that don't know what DUI is, he's been caught basically drink driving or drug driving, depending on what they're testing for there. But this is the second time after the 12 since 2017, which one his first one were. Not ideal. There were plenty of mug shots, photos getting circulated around of him sat in the back of the cop car getting drove back there. Look, he's checked himself into rehab, which all we can do is send T's and P's towards him and hope that it actually works this time round for him and he kind of sorts himself out, because the guy's he's had a lot of controversy in his life, and I think his success outweighs the controversy. I'm not in any way, shape or form, by the way, condoning anything that he's ever done, but I think the reason why he keeps getting these second and third chances is because of his success that he's had and what he's done for the sport of golf. I think he just needs to really think about his decisions. I think he needs a better group of friends around him as well, because somebody has allowed him to do that. He hasn't been alone and drove off, as he realistically. Someone's kind of clocked on that he's going to drove. So just need to be better people around him. But that being said, moving back onto the NFL as well, this kind of ties in with this story as well. Puka Nacua has also checked himself into rehab in preparation for the season coming up, just due to some rash decisions that he's been making off the field and posting on his social media. Somebody take that guy's phone off him, please.
The irony of this is, on the last pod we recorded, and we were chatting about this before the show, is that you were like, oh yeah, he's done amazing, this, that and the other, singing all his praises, and then I think it was literally like we'd signed off, and over that night the story came out about these charges that someone had been pressing against him, or a lawsuit, or whatever they call it in America, these different ways of doing it. But yeah, like, what is in it that he'd like bit her or something, and like it's messed up. The guy is a concern. He's a real concern.
Yeah. Just covering my back again. I do not condone anything that any of them have done in any way, shape or form. And rehab is the place for them to go. Anyway, let's move on swiftly before I dig myself an hole.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, got to put that out there. Right, let's get on to Carl's conundrum, shall we? I need to remind myself of the Carl's conundrum from previous weeks. I've got it. We'll get it up on the screen now, I believe. Yes, perfect. So the Carl's conundrum from the last pod. Which is, which NFL team holds the record for the longest regular season losing streak in NFL history? And that goes down to the Chicago Cardinals, who are now the Arizona Cardinals. So I said oldie is that. That is an oldie is that. So credit where credit's due if you got that one without Googling anyway.
Yeah. Make sure with these that you are sort of chiming in on socials and putting your responses on there. It's quite nice. Like on Instagram, we'll always try and share it as a story, and you get people replying to the story, and it's like, comment on the post, please.
Yep.
We want to get ourselves out there. So, drop a comment for us, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, wherever you're getting the pod.
Hell yes, at ABNF Pod on all your socials as well for that one, guys. Right, let's move on to this week's Carl's conundrum that you can get involved in, and that is, who is the only player to score a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and a kick return touchdown in the same NFL playoff game? Why do I feel like I know this? Who is the only player? I was
thinking the exact same thing.
Why is it? Who was the only player to score a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown?
This isn't that old, this one, is it, Cal?
No.
I know this one. I know it.
So who is the only player to score a rushing touchdown, receiving touchdown, a kick return touchdown in the same NFL playoff game? Why do I know this? Cal, can we ask, like, you've got it?
Yeah.
You've got it.
I've got it. I'm going to leave you to stew on that one. I've got this one. This isn't that old. This is a good one. I like it.
I feel like I know this, and it's going to stew on my head all night now. Just what I need before I'm going to bed, right? But yeah, if you know this one, guys, let us know. Get involved, please. Let us know and get involved so we can go from there. Hey, and if you get it right across the socials, we'll give you a shout out as well next week. So yeah, head over there, let us know. And while you're there as well, guys, or while you're wherever you're listening, if you could leave us a review, that'd be fantastic as well. It really helps us out in knowing now, not just what you're enjoying, but what we can improve on as well. But head over, give us a 5-star review if you can, if you're enjoying it, and go from there. But Brad, that is the pod done for the first time in our new little setup. So
you'll be glad about that one, won't you?
Listen. I was this close to saying, right, you've got this one solo. I'm done, me. Dunzo. See you later. I'm off. My teddy was out of the window. Big style.
So
right
from the cab and kitchen is literally been defined tonight. The kitchen's held up and the cab absolutely has not, bless him. He's had a mare, bless him, but we'll get there.
Well, we will get there indeed. Right. Let's hope this goes out. If it doesn't, you've been a right laugh. Anyway, head over to all the socials, follow us across there. Let us know if what you want to listen. I don't even know what I'm saying now. I'm off. Right, it's bedtime for me. Good night. God bless. Anything for myself, Brad?
At ABNF Pod, thank you, and good night.
That one there. Peace.
See ya.